Hey, welcome everybody. This is Tony Porter at Cards and Dice TV, and I want to do a little examination of the APBA baseball card, and I want to talk about APBA a little bit and what makes APBA unique and what is one of the most appealing aspects of the APBA baseball experience. We're looking at a 1963 Willie Mays card, and I'll tell you how I know that because there's no year on APBA cards. There are no stats on APBA cards. They really minimize the numbers, the data on the APBA card. What I think was most important to the APBA design and Dick Seitz' vision was about making the cards people. In other words, to him, the cards were the person. They were the player. They were that superstar, that we followed in the box scores. And first of all, the name of the player is almost directly in the center. Your eyes immediately gravitate to that. It's in large, bold, red letters. And there's basically a third of the card is taken up by information on the player, which in a lot of other games you could see as peripheral, where the name is very small in the upper left-hand corner and you can barely see it, and mostly the card is about the data. With APBA, the card was mostly about the person, and this is one of the things that I think the APBA community really likes about APBA. So that he bats righty, he throws righty, his height, his weight, you can begin to visualize the person, right? It was more about the person. When he was born, and of course where he was born, Fairfield, Alabama. Then you had his name, and then you had the nickname, which was very, very unique. I don't know that any other card in any other game system has that unique nickname that they called him or he was known by, and so on. Then the name, of course, is prominent right in the center in large, bold letters in red. So it's really a lot of information on the player that maybe, if you're used to a different game, you're saying, well, that's unnecessary. Why would I need that? But this is one of the early appeals, in those magazine ads. APBA would send you a free sample of their card, and the cards were very beautiful. I mean, they were blue in the back. They had the APBA logo, baseball logo, and then, of course, they had the APBA written there. And a lot of guys call it APBA. It's pronounced APBA because the advertisements from the company would actually tell you how it's pronounced and how they wanted it pronounced. So let's continue looking at the Willie Mays card. Now, the Willie Mays card, power numbers in APBA are 66, 11, in this order, right? 66, 11, 33, 22, 44, and 55. Those are the main power numbers in APBA. So anybody that has at least 3 to 4 home runs per every 100 at bats is going to get a 1 at 66. Then if you got a few more than that, 1 to 2 for every 100 at bats, I guess you would get a 5. 1 to 2, maybe even to 3, depending, you would get a 5. Right, so those are basically the three main power numbers. Now, 22, you got a 6. Right, so let's go over again. Let's start at 66. This is the number that every guy who hits at least 3 home runs per 100 at bats is going to get a 1 at. Let's start at 11. 11, actually, let me go back before I start on the power numbers. Let me just go back and look at his defense and his speed. Now, APBA has, right under the name, you have his F in parentheses. That's his speed. That's fast. You have no rating, which is average. And then you have the slow rating, which if you don't play it safe with those slow guys, usually catchers, first baseman, they're going to get thrown out at the bases. So APBA was very simple. It did not complicate matters very much. It had you're either fast, average, or slow. And it was probably based on runs scored and stolen bases, more so than speed, because it's easier to kind of measure. I don't know that they had, especially when they started early on, I don't know that they had a huge, staff that was expert at baseball for every team, throughout the country. So outfield, I think this is a 63 Mays card. How do I know that? Because I look at where the 12 is. It's at 43, and that's the key number that's going to tell you this is a 1963 card. So Mays had been in the league a while. They knew he was fast. They knew he played a tremendous outfield, so they gave him a 3. That's the highest you can be. You're a 1 or 2 or a 3 in defense for outfield, right? For infield positions and so on, you can be different. You can be a 5, you can be a 6, you can be a 7, 8, 9, 10, even 10. He played shortstop for a few games, so he was a 6. And of course, he has his nickname, the Say Hey Kid. Now let's start looking at the numbers. As I said, the 66 is the main power number. Then you get the 11. Now a 5. A 5 is a home run with a runner on first. That's what happens the most. So you're going to get 2 or 3 home runs for every 100 at bats with that 5. Next number is, remember, APBA's rolling 2d6, a red and a white. The red is red first, so it could be a 1 and a 2, and it's a 12. 25 is usually a strikeout or a ground out for a double play with a runner on first and second, bases loaded, and so on. 13, that's going to equal your 14, which is your walk number. Usually a walk most of the time unless a pitcher has really good control. 14 is going to be your fly out to left field. 15 is going to be a hit. It could be a hit and a stolen base if there's somebody on base. 16 is going to be a 28, a grounded to short. Not usually a double play. Usually, sometimes a fielder's choice, depending on the shortstop. 21 is going to be a fly out to left again. So I'm starting to get a sense that he flies out to left. So Mays is a little bit of a pull hitter. 22 is 6, a double number. That's always a double. That 5 at the 11 could be a home run with a runner on first. Sometimes a double home run with runners on first and third. It depends on the on-base situation, but a 6 is always a double. 23 gives you 29, which is either a strikeout, a ground out to pitcher, or ground out to first baseman, depending on the on-base situation. 24 is a 13, which is a strikeout. Those are the strikeout number. That is the strikeout number. So anybody who has a 13 is probably going to strike out. 25 is an 8. That's a hit number, but against B and A pitchers, it's not. 26, you got another strikeout number. 31, you got a 9, and that could be a hit versus B pitchers and sometimes versus A pitchers, but C pitchers, and there's a lot of those, that's an out. 32 is a 26, ground out to second. 33 again is that 5, which is a home run with a runner on first, or it could be a double depending on the on-base situation. 34 is a 31, which is a fly out to center field, a good number if you're hitting and running. So Willie Mays, we'll see if he has another 31. Not terrible to hit and run with, not great, because you're going to find he has a few strikeout numbers. 35 is that 9, that hit against the B pitcher. That's your standard better pitcher in the league. Then you have the elite pitchers at A's and up. And you have basically in pitching, you have about 4 main categories. 36 is 14. That's your base on balls. 41 is a 24. That is going to be a double play ground out with a runner on first. But it's a pop-up in some situations. 42 is a 14. That's another walk number. So I'm getting a sense that he already has 3 walk numbers. So Willie Mays is a high on-base percentage guy. 43 is that 12. That 12 will tell you this is a 1963 card because it's at 43. That's how APBA designed their cards. 44 is a 7. That's a good hit number. That's above average hit number. It only gets taken away a couple of times on a couple of boards under a couple of situations. But generally, that's an automatic hit. So he's got a good card. This is telling me he batted over 300. 45 is another walk number. 46 is a fly out to left. That's your 3rd fly out to left for Willie Mays. So it's telling me he is definitely a pull hitter according to APBA. 51 is an 8. That's a hit against a C pitcher and a D pitcher, but it's an out against a B and an A pitcher. 52, 27 is a ground out to third or a strikeout. 53 is your range error check number. 17 is to right field. 17 is to right field. 18 is to center field. And 19 is to left field, I believe. I play so many games, it's hard for me to remember. I'd have to look at the board again. But I believe that's 17 is a right field. 54 is a fly out to right. 55 is going to be that single number. It's a good single number, mostly a single. Only on a couple of boards and a couple of on-base situations will it be an out against certain pitchers. I think a B and an A. I think on a B, it's a first and third situation where that's an out. But I'm doing it from memory, so you got to double check me on that. 56 is a pop-up or strikeout. 61 is a 40. That's going to be your rare play, your caught stealing, your wild pitch, your pass ball. There's a lot of different things that can happen with that 40. Okay, so it is 36 to 40 is usually a some sort of unusual play of some kind. Then you have at 62 as another strikeout number, that 13. And 63 as a hit and run number, 31, which is like a spray number, where he's hitting it up the middle, he's hitting it to center, to left center, to right center. 64 is another strikeout number. That's why he's somewhat of an iffy hit and run guy. 65 is a 35. That's a foul out to the catcher. And finally, we end up at 66, which the game is known as 66 in at some points, because that is the key number. You know, you come to bat with the bases loaded down by 3, right in the bottom of the ninth, and you hit that, you roll that 66, and that's an automatic home run. And in APBA Basic, and then it's a walk-off grand slam, right? That's what Willie Mays would do. So anyway, I wanted to go over these APBA cards and talk about a little bit of the appeal of the APBA card and how it's designed, what the numbers mean. And there's not a lot of numbers, and after playing, 10, 20, 30 games, you'll start knowing the numbers. In other words, regardless of the on-base situation, 30 is always an out to left field, 31 is always an out to center field, and 32 is always an out to right field. Could be a sac fly, but it's an out. And so you'll learn those numbers. 14 is most of the time a walk. 13 is most of the time a strikeout. So you'll definitely learn those numbers, and the game plays super fast. You can easily play one of these APBA games once you learn the numbers in 25 minutes, 20 minutes if you have good experience. Some guys, and guys like to replay seasons using APBA because each game is very, very quick. And that's about it. This is Tony Porter for APBA Baseball, CD TV on YouTube, and Universal Baseball Association on Facebook, with a lot of other associated Facebook groups as well. I will see you and talk to you guys soon. Take care.